Hello, this is just an explanation of one interesting script that is developed in order to help you out to to split data based on categories listed within a column of a data set. Let me explain. Let me elaborate a bit further on that. I will show you this database or this Excel file. And in this case, you can see that this database contains different titles of movies, such as Toy Story, Jumanji, Grumpy Old Man, and so on. And basically, let me uh, let me tell you this task. There's a column called original language, and let's imagine that we have the task to split the data on within each of the languages that are listed right here. Let's imagine that you have this task, one Excel book per language. As you can see here, there are lots of languages. Let me show you how many unique languages do we have here. I'm sorry. Yeah, we have 38 unique languages. So you have to create 38 workbooks. So it could be like a quick, quite elaborated task. The bottom line here is that you can create a script based on Python in order to automate that task. So let's begin with this. Let's begin importing this module from Python, which is called Pandas. Pandas is a module to process data and also is quite used in data science, that's data analytics and these kind of things, and data processing as well. So let's begin with this. Now, my first thing that I want to do is to point out or to point to this Excel file that contains this information. Okay, so I will use a variable, this variable called path. This path will contain the path of the Excel file. So I will do this. I'm sorry for the Spanish in my computer, but this option, that's my native language. So I have the path right here. Now, what I want to do now is to point to this specific Excel sheet. Okay, I will tell you in a moment why I want to do this, because it's not really needed, but I will tell you in a moment why I am doing this process. Okay, movies underscore metadata. That's the name of my sheet. So I will use TGT sheet. That's the name of my variable. I will enter a few comments right here. Path of my Excel file. Sheet name. I am doing this in order to have some comments in order to guide me or to guide you guys when it comes to using this script, because I want you to use this script for many different Excel files, not only for this one. I want this script to be dynamic. Just the only thing that you need to do is to change this variable names. Okay, so in this first variable, you will enter the path of your Excel file. On the second variable, you will enter you will enter the sheet name. And my last variable will contain something called call splitter. This is the name of another variable. You know, you can name variables as you wish, but I want to make the names a bit self-explanatory in order to find out what the variable will contain, okay? So in this case, the code splitter will contain the column, column that will contain the categories that will be considered to split the data within different workbooks, okay? So in this case, the column is original title. No, I'm sorry, original language. That's the name of my column. So name of your target column to split data. Okay, so now we have the three main variables to work on this stuff. Now I will read the data that is located in this Excel file. How do we do that? Okay, I will create another variable called df. df stands for data frame. It's a common variable name to read data frames. Okay, so I will use this df. Now I will use this pd. pd is to invoke the pandas library, and I will use this method called read Excel. As you can see, you can read HTML, JSON, CSV, Excel, and other different formats. So feel free to play around with these formats when it comes to programming with Python. But for this purpose, I will use read Excel. And now I will use this path variable right here, path. Now, how do we know that the code will read, that the code is reading this Excel file? I will use the function print, this command print, and I will enter this df and a method called head. Head will split the 5 first columns, the 5 top rows of your data frame, in this case of my Excel file. So I am doing it now, as you can see here. I forgot to say that when it comes to using Visual Studio Code, if you type Control and F5, you will run the console. But you can do this process using the command system. So let me show you. CMD, and let me find out where my I'm sorry. If you do that, you will use Python. You enter the name of the file. And if you click on this, you will see that we have the same results that we got at Visual Studio Code. I forgot to mention this, guys. I am using Visual Studio Code for developing this script. One of the advantages that Visual Studio Code has is that it has the terminal, the CMD, embedded in this code editor. So that's something that I like a lot, because I'm avoiding to open this this window. So I will stop using it, but I just wanted to show you how you run this script, or how you can run this script without using this Visual Studio Code. But okay, so now you can see the data. You can see the first rows, the first 5 rows of my Excel file. Now, what do we do next? Okay, I need to find out a way to extract unique values of these languages, of these categories, okay, so to speak. These 38 unique values, yeah, were they 38 or 39? I don't recall that, but let's suppose almost 40, okay? So what do we do now? Let's do this. Data items. I will use this another variable called data items. This variable will contain just unique values of this Excel Excel column. Okay, so I will use df, and I will use this variable. You remember that we have the name of the column contained in this variable. So we'll use df call splitter. That's the way you point to a column, to a specific column in the data frame. df the brackets, and within the brackets you enter the name of your column. So in this case, I will use this variable because this variable again contains the name of my target column that is going to split the data. So df call splitter, and now what I want to do with this column is to get unique values. Okay, so let me print out this data items. I'm not sure if you guys are listening to the background noise, but we are listening to a band called Mago de Oz, which is not my kind of music, but my neighbors are listening to that. Apologies if the noise is being listened on this recording. Sorry. So now I want you to see that I have printed out all the unique values that appear right here. Okay. So you can see here all my different languages that are going to be used to split the data. Awesome. So now that we have this thing, this is something called lists or an array. An array is like a container of multiple values. And one of the advantages of an array is that you can iterate over each of the elements of this array or container of values in order to do something. In this case, we want to retrieve the data, we want to split data and put that data on another Excel workbook. So let's do this. I will create a for loop. I will call this for item in what? In this variable in data items. And I will show you what I'm talking about. Print item. That's the way you declare loops in Python. You say, I'm sorry. Item, yeah. You say for each element, for each item within data items, you will print. Let's begin just printing out each element of this array, of this list. So we're just I want to prove my point of this kind of arrays, that you can iterate over each element and do something. And yeah, here it is. You can see on each iteration of this loop, you can see that each of the languages are printed out right here. And English, French, I don't know what ZH is, Italian, this I'm not sure. Yeah, many languages, whatever. Okay, so now that we have these languages, I will do the following. I will leave this guy here. I will create something called new df. What is a new df? It's a variable that will contain a data frame that will be created based on a condition. What will my condition be? Okay, my condition will be this one. I will point to this data frame, the data of my original Excel file. And now within the brackets, you will enter the same df. As you can see, within the brackets of my data frame, I am entering another set of df and has another set of brackets, and I will point to what? To the item. I'm sorry, no. To the code splitter, to my target column. But I will get data based on what? Based on my item that appears. So let me show you here. This new df will contain the data of each item as the loop goes on. Okay, so in this case, on the first loop of this part of the code, on the first loop or in the first iteration, you will get a df based on data of my movies metadata that equals to the item that is at the moment, in this case, English. On the second iteration, you will fetch data from the movie's metadata, whose original language is French. On the third iteration, you will get data from the movie's metadata on the column original language that matches to the ZH language, and so on. Okay, so let me show you this. Let me prove that. I will clear this terminal because I don't like to see a bunch of data here. Let me see if that works. It should. Yeah, here you go. You can see that as I told you before, this head will fetch the first 5 rows of a data frame. So I'm fetching the first 5 rows of each iteration based on what? Based on the language, based on my original language column that I'm going to use to split the data. So that I'm using to split the data, sorry. You can see here that there appears the CA, FI, BO, SH, EL, and V, and so on. Okay, so we are fetching the data. So far, so good. So now that we have these batches based on the condition that is entered by this loop on each iteration of this loop, what we are just only missing is to export the data to Excel. So new df dot to Excel, and I will use this this function of Python to concatenate strings. Maybe you have seen this concatenation in Excel file with Excel files using the concatenate function that appears, the concatenate function of Excel, or if you have programmed in other languages, maybe you have used the ampersand sign or the plus sign to concatenate data. But this is another way to concatenate here in Python. You enter the letter F, you open quotation marks, and this curly brackets. Within these curly brackets, I'm going to enter the item name. And now, after that, I'm going to use this thing, split underscore item dot xlsx. So I am interpolating the name of the file based on the item that is at the moment on the loop, and concatenating that information with split underscore and the extension of my Excel file. Now I will use this index false. What is this index false? As you can see here, at the left side of each of the data frames, an ID appears. This ID is created automatically by Python. And it's an index actually to make a reference for each of the rows. So these index are especially useful when it comes to processing data with pandas. Um, Given that we're just gonna export the data to different Excel files, Excel workbooks, this index is not needed. So that's why I am setting here index equals false. I don't want any indexes to be displayed in my exported data frames. Okay, so now finally I will use this thing called print done. Okay, this print done is just to say that we are done with the process. So I will go ahead and comment this in this. I will comment just this one. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and run this code now. I will show you how to run it on the terminal once again, not on the Visual Studio Code, but in the CMD. Okay, I will point to this guy, to my script. That's the path of my script. Okay, I will move to the D unit. I will use this CD that is used to change directory, to move from one path to another. So I will enter my path right here. I will remove the quotation marks. Now that I am here on my target path, I will write Python. That is the program that I'm going to use to run the code, Python. Now the name of my file, of my script, .py, and here you go. Here we go. Let's wait for a few seconds. Yeah. And it's working now. It will take a while because you are exporting data. And as you can see here, the data is being exported. You see? And now it's done. Awesome, isn't it? There was no need for you to do it manually. You can do it with just a few lines of code that appear right here. These 23 lines of code, and I will tell you the final thing. Okay, let's prove it if that works. If I open this guy, I opened one of the files, and it has only one element for this AR. If you filter out AR, you only see one file or one element. I will close this guy. Let's see, split en. You see the name split, which was here, interpolated, and the variable item, the item variable interpolated within the name dot xlsx, which is the Excel extension file. Yeah, it opened. Yeah, split English. Let's see how many movies do we have. 4,033. If you see the original data, and if you filter out the en, oh God, we have more here. Yeah, I will see. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's 400 and 4,000. Sorry, 4,474 in the which file is this one? The original file versus 400, 4,000. Once again, I'm sorry, I'm really bad with the numbers. 4,474 elements. So the code is working properly. So now let's talk about why I split the data within different variables. Okay, let's imagine that we have another file. Actually, I will change this guy. Let's suppose that we want now to split the data based on the movies, if the movies are for adults or not. Okay, so I will use this adults true, or I will use child, and the last two guys adults. Okay, so I will remove the rest of the data, and let's suppose that the client comes back and tells you, okay, I want now to have an split or my data split based on the category of the first column, adults, if the movie is for adults. And so you will see, or you can see here that we have two categories. The first one is child and the second one is adults. So let's see what we have to do now. The only thing that you have to do with the code is this. First of all, you set the path. In this case, given that we are just we just modified the same Excel file, my path will not be changed at this point, but you get the idea. You can change this path for another Excel file or a new target Excel file. Okay, so now the target sheet is the same. Yeah, movies metadata, movies underscore metadata, and the last one is the code splitter. The code splitter will not won't be original language anymore. So what's gonna be my new code splitter? I will use the first column called adult. Okay, so I will put here adult, and now I will run the code again. I will run the code again. And now you can see here that the categories are different from the ones that appear in the first time that I ran the script. In this one, you see child and adults. Now it's done. If you take a look at the there you go, split adults and split child. If you open these files, you see the two adults here and the three childs movies that appear right here. So now, ¿qué pasó, amor? Estoy en llamada. Bueno, estoy en grabación. ¿Qué pasó, amor? Sí, amor, dame un segundito. Ya casi acabé, amor. Sí, por favor, hermosa. Ahorita dame un segundito, es que si no ya apareció tu voz ahí. Gracias, hermosa. No, nada más dame un segundito, ya casi acabamos. Okay, guys, so now you get the idea of this script. And as you can see, you can go ahead and change the variables. Basically, these three variables in order to retrieve the data or split the data based on these three. You don't move anything below, so you can reuse this code as many times or at different scenarios you want to use it. So thank you so much for watching this video, and just let me know if you happen to have any questions or concerns regarding this information. See you in the next one.